Hi, this is Roger. Thanks for dropping by. I'm sure some eagle-eyed people may have noticed the splash of orange lurking in the background. As I watered the holy clay pots yesterday, I did a bit of shuffling and moved some stuff around so we can actually have a look at this one now. Most of the buds are now open now, and you know me, I love my oranges. And in actual fact, this is Young Min Orange. I was just looking at the tag, and it always puts on a good show. This spike arches over. Well, it didn't really. What actually happened was the cane was sticking out sideways, and I pulled the cane in. So if you can imagine, the spike then dipped down a bit. But nonetheless, it's brought the two spikes together, which I think makes a nicer show. And I did have a think about it before I did it, and I thought, well, in actual fact, the aspect of the buds wouldn't actually change. So as you can see, the blooms are still actually upright. They haven't turned sideways or upside down or anything. So it's a good show. They're not all open yet, but not far off it. That's two good spikes on that plant. But then that always produces a good show. It's quite a multi-floral one. Not huge blooms, but I didn't get that for the size of the blooms. I got that for the sheer splash of colour. It's a nice, clean, bright orange. Really good. So that's coming on, looking good. The Radicans epidendrum, which is Comet Valley, something or other, Orange Star, I think, starting to form buds now. The spikes are all pushing up nicely. Got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, I think, 6 spikes, and this one's actually got a branch on it. This one hasn't done that for me before, but you know, it's just an extra set of buds. So, but yeah, they're starting to show now. I don't know how far off they are from blooming, but I'm really hoping that all of these spikes will be open by the end of March, because then it can go into our 60th anniversary show. That actually got a cultural award at Malvern last year, and Malvern is either June or July. Yeah? So this is going to be in bloom quite a bit earlier this time. But nonetheless, the blooms, I won't say the blooms last ages, because it's a perpetual bloomer. It just keeps pushing spikes up through the middle. Gets like a pom-pom on the top, looks really nice. And then it keeps pushing up new buds all the time, and older blooms drop off the bottom. So it's like a perpetual bloomer for a period of time, but it's a long period of time. You know, you're looking at probably 4 or 5 months worth of blooms on one of those, so well worth having. But some of them can grow pretty big, tall, I'll say. So that's that. This is looking good now, fully open. That's Paphiopedilum Magical Venus, and the other Paph has just opened as well. That's Mordier. That's looking nice. It's the simplicity of that I like. It's just got 2 colours on it, green and white. It's quite a uniform shape. It's not too bad, and it's a reliable bloomer. It blooms for me on every new growth. I just wish it would hang on to the old growths and form a bush, but it hasn't done that yet. But nonetheless, it's reliably pushes up 2 growths each time, and they both bloom. But they're staggered now. They used to be together, so I used to get 2 blooms together a few years ago, whereas now one of them grew slowly one year, and so it's pushed a stagger into the plant, so get one after the other. I think, yeah, the other one's got its bud just starting, so, but as you can see, it's going to be a long way behind that one, a hell of a long way. So that's those. The zygote's fully open now, that's looking nice. Fragrance, just good. You know, it's just nice and strong. But it really comes into its own when I do get a bit of sunshine in here. The other zygote buds are starting to swell now. I've forgotten what colour that is. I'm sure I've got a picture, but so not a good spike really. Only 2 buds, but 2 buds is better than no buds. And I've had a lot of trouble with zygos in the past. Like they die a lot. Well, they only die once each, but I've had quite a few and they've died, let's put it that way. But nonetheless, they seem to be growing, I won't say well, but they're growing okay nowadays, and staying alive, which is the main thing. And I forget which YouTube channel I was just watching, but somebody was getting a bit worried about purple tinges on canes. Dendrobium canes. Now, if you've got a bit of a purple tinge on the cane itself, it's not too much of a big deal. Some of them have that natural coloration when they're new and young, and then it fades as they get older. But purple tinges on the leaves is a whole different thing. I mean, that could be one of a couple of deficiencies. It could also be too much light. You know, so but on the canes I don't worry too much. Some of them do have that natural purple tinge. And then, having just said that, if you look at the position of where this is and where my lights are, the highest cane has got purple on it, but then these did have purple as well. So I could sort of think, oh goodness me, that's just a fraction too close to the light, but it isn't, because these were that colour as well, but these have been around a bit longer. They're losing their purple tinge now. Whereas, because the plant stays in the same place and the lights stay in the same place, if it was the light, the coloration wouldn't disappear. It would stay there. And it would be more inclined to be on the leaves rather than on the cane if it was light. So I don't particularly worry about that. I did have a couple of plants that were a bit too close to the lights though, had to be moved away a bit. And with the lights you have to sort of think about what sort of plant are you dealing with. If you're dealing with a lower light type plant, and you put it under high light, it's going to respond adversely, and it's too much for it. So you have to think of the individual plants that you're putting under the same light intensity. And whereas a dendrobium or a cattleya would be absolutely fine, a bulbophyllum and a phalaenopsis might not be under the same conditions. Different plants need different amounts of light. And when you use artificial lights, you need to position them accordingly, and the highlight ones get the closest to the lights, more central, and the ones who don't need as much move towards the edges, so they get a bit less. And just have a think about the light intensity. It's very difficult to tell though, and there's an awful lot of the LED lights that don't really tell you how strong they are. There's various ratings you can get for a bulb, but an LED is a bank of lights. It's not one, it's loads. I mean, even if you look at that looks like it's one bulb, yeah, but that's just the lens. The LEDs are in there, and there's 100. There's 100 individual lights in there, different colours and all stuff like that. So LEDs work differently to things like fluorescent lights and the other flashy ones you can get that cost a fortune to run and have to have special ballast to start them up slowly, otherwise they don't work and stuff. I couldn't be bothered with all that, I must admit. Anyway, so just a quick video today. I've got no watering to do today. I'm up to date at long last. The only thing I will water today, because I'm watering them every day, is the little set of 5 new Tolumnias. They're still not pushing new roots, and the few roots they've got are hydrating poorly, because it's not yet a good set of roots, so they need a bit of extra help, so they get watered every day. The established Tolumnias are fine, they can go the 2 or 3 days, they're not so bad, but the new ones, I'm trying to encourage those new roots to grow. And out of those new ones, 2 out of the 5 have actually got spikes. Well, I'll show you. One of the spikes has had an abort, but not a complete abort. The spike on this one has aborted, but the 2 branches haven't. They're still pushing on. So I'm still going to get blooms on that spike, but the actual main spike just withered. I mean, these 5 plants went through chopping and changing an awful lot. Now, if they were well-established plants with good root systems, they'd have taken no notice of changes of environments and all things like that, and come into a Christmas do and all the things that they've had in their lives. But without that backup of a decent root system, they would be susceptible to aborting a spike or something like that. But we'll still get blooms. We just won't get as many because the end of that spike's decided to wither. But nonetheless, the plant's still not desiccated, but it's still not growing any new roots yet. And I suspect that all 5 of them are just waiting for some warmer weather. That's all it is. And the one day's warmth they had yesterday is not enough. You see some of the other Tolumnia spikes coming on up there, pushing up towards the roof. As I say, I've only got a couple that haven't got spikes on. There's several of them that have got more than one spike. So we are going to have a lot of Tolumnia blooms down the line. Again, I'm hoping that some of those will still be in bloom for that anniversary show. It's difficult to say what will be in bloom at that time, because some plants have got time to actually grow a brand new spike and bloom by the end of March. Some of the dendrobiums might be early enough to be out by the end of March, but quite a few, like this Hercoglossum, would be a smasher to take to a show, because I've never seen anybody else with one this sort of size, and with a mass of blooms on it, it would be a real showstopper, as they say. But it's a later bloomer. That's probably going to be in bloom in April towards May, so it's not going to make it in time. Highly unlikely. So that's just how it goes. But yeah, we shall see. Work I've got to do today. It's just dawned on me. I've got 3 talks to do, and I think I've just been volunteered for a 4th. But the one that's coming up soon has crept up on me. I didn't realise it was quite this soon. I've got to do a talk on basic orchid care for non-orchid people, keeping a few orchids in the homes. It's an easy one for me to do, and it's for a horticultural society, not even anything to do with orchids specifically, but it's supposed to be an hour long. So yes, I volunteered to do it, but I'm going to borrow some Phalaenopsis from a friend from the Orchid Society who's got quite a few around the house, so that I've got something to show, because I'm not going to do a talk for an hour based on a presentation up on the screen. It's too long. So I've decided that I'll chop it short as far as the video presentation is concerned, and then actually have some plants and pick them up and talk about them and look at them. And it's a cosy little talk. I think there's only about 15 people, and they all sit like in a little semicircle around the table. So it's a cosy little talk. It'll be quite good. So obviously we can see close in plants that are actually in my hands, and I've also volunteered to do a repotting demonstration at that one. So yeah. And the new talk I think I've been volunteered for is for a garden centre. So no screen or anything like that. It's just a talk. And I'm hoping to borrow a load of their plants to talk about, because obviously if they want to talk about orchids, they must sell them. But I will pay a visit to that one before I actually do the talk and see what sort of stuff they've got around and what the facilities are like. And then the big talk, the one that I've revamped, I still haven't finished revamping that, and that's at the end of February, so I've still got plenty of time for that. I've just got some video clips to do and slot in, so I haven't got a lot of work to do to finish it, but because I haven't got much to do, I keep putting it off, and I think the time has come to get on and finish those clips. I've been waiting for suitable lighting to actually video actual plants, but I might have to forego that and just let the camera do the work instead of the light. Anyway, these talks are not going to get done talking about them. They need some work done, so I need to crack on with that. Anyway, just a few new blooms, and that industrial fogger I was talking about, somebody asked if they could have the link to have a look at the specification. So while I was on eBay getting the link, I just clicked buy it now. So it's on its way, and we'll have a look at it when it gets here. But yeah, it should do the job an awful lot better than the 3 little ones I've been struggling with. But then I only struggle with them when it's really warm. You know, on your normal average days, they were more than adequate. But they didn't do the job anywhere near well enough in that heat wave, and it's cost me quite a lot of leaves on quite a lot of plants. That, you know, the plants just dumped the leaves basically because they couldn't support them. And it didn't matter how much water got thrown in at the roots. They just couldn't keep up with that level of heat day in, day out. You know, for 15, 16-hour long days, it was just too much for them. So hopefully this will combat that if we get similar circumstances this year. These 2 buds are pushing on now, starting to show their colour. I think this one's quite a deep magenta, but it's a typical, what I call a blousy Cattleya, that sort of shape, yeah? Typical corsage type Cattleya shape, but I think it's more this colour, the deeper colour, with the yellow in the middle probably. I can't remember, but that'll be coming soon. And anyway, we'll see how we go. Quicker video today. As I say, the work's not going to get done talking about it, so I must crack on. See you next time. Bye for now.